positivity that came through on Friday, and it seems that most market participants are waiting with bated breath for some of the numbers out of Nigeria, particularly coming through from the banks.
Yes, what we saw, especially from midweek point last week, was there was a bit of a mini rally as investors started looking at bargains. And going forward this week, I think because of the banks have played such a big role in the stock exchange, everyone's waiting for the results to come out.
Well, let's zoom into the likes of GT Bank, and that stock up over 3% on Friday. We're seeing massive movements coming through on that front. How much good news is being priced in at this point?
A lot of good news has been priced into GT. To be honest, if you look at GT's price-book ratio, it's probably twice the average in the banking sector. And that's because in the last 18 months, with all the problems in the banking sector, GTB has been seen as a pretty safe harbor for a lot of investors. So a lot of investors have invested in that. And a lot of the uplift from GTB has already been priced in our opinion.
First Bank, we saw some pressure coming to the fore there. Do you think that market participants are expecting some bad news? And it seems that most of the focus will be coming through on the non-performing loan fronts and, of course, a continued focus on the likes of cost to income.
Yes, First Bank in third quarter last year had a surprising spike in its provisioning. And I think some analysts are looking into that and wondering if that same if there will be increased provisioning in the quarter four results, which will feed into the results. So I think there's kind of that speculation, which is what's affecting the First Bank price.
What about the likes of loan growth? And do you think we could see a substantial recovery on that front?
I think there will be some loan growth, but I don't think it will be at the rate that we saw in the 2007, 2008. The banks have restricted their loan growth in the last 18 months due to trying to overhaul their risk management systems and also just being careful of new, stricter CBN supervision of their loan book as they try and tidy up their loan books. But I think with the NPLs being addressed by AMCON, I think we might see 2011 going forward loan growth.
When it comes to the rescued banks, it seems that most are waiting to see more on the restructuring side of things. We know that these banks have had a fantastic rally since last year, since we saw AMCON coming to the fore as well. Again, how much good news has been priced in, and is there room for some disappointment down the line?
I think there's a lot of room for disappointment on the rescued banks because in a sense, yes, they've been helped by the NPLs and margin loans taken off by AMCON to help them restructure to bring in core investors. Now, what we've seen in the last 2 to 3 months is that the share price of these rescue banks have oscillated with rumors about who the core investor is, whether an MOU has been signed, and investors moving along there. But I think going forward, we have to look at some fundamentals of these rescued banks. The reasons they were rescued because of poor corporate governance. Now, that has been trying to be addressed by the CBN interim management and the new core investors. But also, you have to...
Yeah,
sorry?
Go for it.
I say also you have to look at the operating expenses because most of these rescued banks, their income, their margin income could not cover the operating expenses, so they're operating at a loss. But in the last 12 months, they've only shown profit, mainly due to loan loss provisions going down.
Well, that said, which is then your play in the rescued bank space and also in the healthy bank space?
I think in the healthy bank space, GTB seems to be a bit overpriced in our opinion. So we're looking at the likes of Zenith and possibly First Bank in terms of value, in terms of their price to book ratio at the moment. We expect strong results from Zenith and pretty strong results from First Bank as their restructuring comes more into play this year. I think on the rescued banks front, it's very hard to make to say until we know who the core investors are. Even when the core investors take over, there's a lot of investment and restructuring that will be required to bring them up to speed because they have fallen behind some of the healthier banks in this interim period.
On Friday, Transcorp gained around 3.5%. Can it maintain all the positive momentum? We know that one of the reasons that it's been doing well is because of the oil deal that they struck.
Yes, Transcorp has been a bit of a laggard in the market. It had corporate governance issues and various other issues over the last 18 months, especially since the government took over in 2007. Now, in the last 2 weeks, what's been shown is that Transcorp Hilton, their flagship investment, has been doing well. And they've announced 1 or 2 deals in the oil and gas sector over some oil blocks with some strong core investors. Now, I think investors are thinking that Transcorp is on its way back to strong growth, and they've been piling into it.